which the same IP address which was used for 4 votes, that is able because if you are in the same network, we say you connect to this same, the Parliament wireless, all of you will have the same IP address. So that is correct. 4 votes can have the same IP address. The risks that were raised, that somebody can vote for another, definitely this one was captured in the report, because as I shared, the passwords, the username and passwords were shared in IT terms, we call it clear text. They weren't encrypted when they were shared to the users, and everyone knew that to access this system, either you need your IDPP number and the username and the ID number to access it. So everyone had the protocol that is needed to access. So anyone could access somebody else's account. Because I know, if for me I know my ID number is this, definitely my fellow MCA ID number, definitely I'm privy to this. I can get his information from maybe a database which is provided somewhere. So we saw that as a major risk, which we highlighted it on the report. For that, because of the lack of the MAC address which we have been talking about, we cannot know which individual device or who accessed it. I think that would answer also the question on the whether a third party voted for the system, which is very much possible because this system is not hosted at the Kericho County ICT department, it's hosted outside as per the report. It's hosted in Germany. So anyone with a link and anyone with the credentials of an MCA would be able to access it. That one also answers the question on if the system was if the system was standard-proof in terms of it was compromised because of the sharing of the same usernames and passwords, or a certain criteria is being used, which everyone knows. For Senator Chelga, I did not visit the county assembly because in this digital world, everything is online, the networks have been connected, and the system, we did not see the need of going there because the system is not hosted in their premises. Yes, I believe.
Senator Olekina Ledama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a few questions for this IT expert. First of all, let me congratulate you for really selling yourself in 30 pages of giving your credential in the key audit in your report. I was trying to find exactly what it is that you're auditing, but I couldn't find. But I'll go specifically to my questions. And my questions are as follows. 1, are you a certified white hacker or ethical hacker? A white hacker is the same as ethical hacker. That's question number 1. Number 2, the counsel for the governor asked you a question, which was also asked by the county assembly attorney, whether or what is a MAC address. So I wish you could be able to explain to us what is a MAC address clearly. And then the next question that I want to hear from you giving us a clear answer is, since the title of your report, and I'll go to page 30, is it 30 or maybe 29? It says Cyber Security Audit Kericho County Assembly Voting System, cyber security. So what I would like to know from you is which cryptographic keys did you use to be able to audit the system? Because I've gone through what you presented here, and these are basic things that anyone can get who understands internet, who is, in terms of who owns the domain. But really, I think if you are to audit, you're either a certified ethical hacker, or who can be able to use cryptographic keys to be able to give us. But I have not seen any of those. These are quite basic things. And then finally is, oh, my question, the time is over.
Senator Okech Eddy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Expert, on page 32 of your affidavit, you have indicated here your primary objectives of this audit exercise. And I'm drawn to the biggest one here, which is to ensure the integrity and confidentiality of voter data. And because this Senate might not have as many experts as you are, what I was expecting from you is a proper audit trail. A proper audit trail of what is the event log of what actually happened. I'm looking at your entire affidavit here. I don't have any single element of event logs of really what happened. I want you to tell me in simple terms, because whatever you have here is a prescription of any system that you can do on a secondary level. You can do this work on a secondary level. I can look at a system and say this system has got, lacks these features, or this system does not have these security features. You can say that. But what we're looking for here is an element of accountability and transparency that can be able to show us that in the event log of what transpired in the voting time of 11 minutes, this is my audit trail. So my question to you is, where can we find your audit trail of this system that can show us event log of exactly what transpired? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Otsotsi, to close the number of questions, then we go for 3 on this side.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just want to clarify a matter. When the expert was confronted with a question to distinguish between a MAC address and IP address, I think there was some confusion there, because a MAC address is supposed to be that unique identifier that identifies. Let me process my question. Let me process my question. That identifies a device on a network, on a unique network.
Can you avoid answering for the witness? You just pose the question or seek the clarification so that you give them the benefit of answering that question.
Oh, very well, very well. But let me go now to the point. An IP address, in my own understanding, my 25 years of practice, is that unique identification that identifies a device on the internet. For example, Madam Speaker, when you have your phone and you want to transact on the internet, that unique number that identifies you on the internet is the IP address. I want to pose a question based on the contents of County Assembly documents, volume 4A, on page 30. There's a particular IP address 41.139.237.2.129. It has been used, Madam Speaker, 9 times. And I want to believe maybe it's because we had that one particular computer that the MCAs were using to vote. That could be the explanation. But
Don't speculate. Can you pose the question to the witness?
Okay. Madam Speaker, you know, in this house we have a diversity of professions. And in this particular one, I have a responsibility to guide this house, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to know whether the ICT expert did an IP lookup we have something called an IP lookup, where you can determine the physical location of a device on the internet. It will tell you the geographical location.
Very well. I think your question is posed. I will give the witness time to respond to those questions. Proceed, witness.
Oh,
Proceed. We
thank
are
you.
coming to 3 questions on the majority side.
okay. I'll start with the last in. So you talked about the MAC address. Yes, the MAC address is a unique number which each device, whether a phone or laptop has. And you had mentioned something called the IP address. This one, subject matter 41.139.237.129. We did a search on it, and we found it's registered under Safaricom Limited. Yes, and as you said, this IP address can be used by multiple devices. As I mentioned earlier, if all of us connect to the same Wi-Fi here at Parliament, all of us will have the same IP address going out. So all the devices within the House will have, within the Senate will have the same IP addresses. I think that one can answer that. Then
Speak into the microphone so that your voice does not fade away.
Okay, sorry. Then the issue on the logs, which are not captured, the audit trail and the transparency. Our mandate for this exercise was to test the high level security of the system. As I mentioned, we did not enter the administrator account, and we did not have access to it. So those audit trails and the audit trails which were to be provided, we did not have access to it. For the method or the methodology that we used to audit the system, we relied on the basics. As you have mentioned, the report is basic. You know, if something is basic and you understand, it means the person did a very good work. Because if you used technical terminologies, most of you would have said this thing is very hard to understand. And that's why we made it. The best teachers are the ones who simplify things. And that is the reason why you find it very basic. About being a certified white hacker, no, I don't possess that certification, but I possess the experience.
Are you done with the responses?
Yes.
He has answered. He did not respond to your question, Senator Sotsi.
My question was whether the expert did an IP lookup on those IP addresses.
Answer that question.
Because the IP lookup will give you the physical location of the device.
Witness, that's a crucial question. Can you answer that question?
Yes, I had answered it. I believe maybe you are communicating with your fellow senators. The IP mentioned, the 41.139.237.129, is registered under Safaricom Limited.
Where was the physical location? That's what the senator asked you. Where was the physical location of that device?
Maybe I can just give the physical location just now, because this is publicly available information. Yes, but it's registered under Safaricom Limited.
Will you proceed on to the next set of questions? Senator Kisang and Senator Joyce, in that order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I had wanted to find out from the witness if he was an ethical hacker, and he said he's not, but because he has the knowledge and you are contracted to check the security of this particular system, you said you tried to penetrate, but you are unable to do. So are you telling this House that the system is very secure? Secondly, Madam Speaker, is what my colleague has said. You know, when you're given a job, even if you do a basic report in basic English, there are things that you are supposed to have delivered, where the terms of reference, because this is what would have assisted Senate to make a decision. But the witness has not helped us, because he would have listed at least a few of those IP addresses, especially the one that was used by 9 members, to say this particular IP address was the laptop that was in the county assembly. But he has not done it, because some of us, we have basically checked here, a few of them, they are far away from Kericho. So we expected him to highlight so that at least it will aid us in making a decision.
Senator Joyce? Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Mine is just to ask the expert to tell this House if the SMS sent to the MCAs could be transferred to any other person to forward on their behalf. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senator Boni Halwale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Kwon, you know why you came here? It's because we want an expert like you to differentiate between the governor's side and the county assembly side, who is telling us the truth. The county assembly is telling us 33 people voted on that system you have audited. And the governor is telling us, no, they could not have been 33 because 18 of them were supporting us. So can you now tell us, during your audit, how many MCAs voted? Once you answer that, how many voted?
Can you respond to those questions, witness?
Okay, maybe I'll start with the first one in this time. We did not, our mandate and legal mandate wasn't to penetrate the system. Our mandate was to check for vulnerabilities on the public-facing side, things which the public-facing meaning anyone can access. So we did not penetrate. If we would penetrate, this would be a different case altogether, because that would be intrusion, and it would be legally, would be now, would be maybe, it would be a legal issue at the moment. So we did not penetrate. We only penetrate if we are given authority. Then the issue on the SMS, if it can be transferred to somebody else. As I mentioned earlier, the username and the password are a specific criteria. It's your ID and something else. So definitely, if somebody knows your ID and IDP number, they'll be able to access the system, even not necessarily the SMS. But the SMS also can be sent to another number, forwarded. For the audit trail in terms of how many MCAs voted, as I've mentioned, the mandate, our mandate, was to check on the public-facing side, the security, and in terms of this, how many MCAs had voted, we could see from the system, from the printouts on the extracts, we could see that the MCAs who voted were 33, and the others who did not vote, the numbers were nil. But this doesn't constitute that it was in fact a certain MCA who voted, because as I've mentioned, these username and passwords are known by everyone. Each and every MCA might have known, or they know. Even the IT person, because it's the person who created, might have known. So we can't ascertain that these MCAs who voted as per the system without the MAC address, which is a big contention.
Thank you. Senator Wambua Enoch, followed by Senator Beatrice Akinyi Ogola.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, you know, the expert was supposed to help us deal with the problem with the system. I am not sure he is really helping us. Because the thing that Senator Ososi is saying, and this is what I want to repeat, the lookup is a very simple thing to do. It's a serial search. And you have IP addresses listed there. The easiest thing for him to do, and Madam Speaker, if you allow, we can also do it here now, is to just log in and find out when that device was used, where it was used, the exact location. It would have been so easy for us to make that determination. The rest of the things that the expert is telling us, Madam Speaker, may be things that we will struggle to make a decision based on the information that is giving us. Why is it so difficult to link every vote to a gadget? Just link every vote to a gadget. This vote came from this gadget was in Nairobi, this other one was in Bungoma. It's simple as that, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. Senator Beatrice, you've taken out your name. Senator Okoit Omutata.
Madam Speaker, sitting where I'm sitting, I'm unable to answer the question. There's a case before us. And the case before us is a contention on whether the threshold for voting was met. And Assembly produced logs showing that 33 people voted. For me, what I expected from the expert was not to discuss the securities or whatever of the system that was set up. It is not the credibility of the system that is before me. Before me is the question, was the threshold met in the Assembly? How many people voted? And so I'm not seeing that question being answered. I'm not being helped to answer that question. Instead, we have entered into a very academic exercise of discussing things my friend Radama calls crypto whatever, cryptocurrencies or something. So I really request that we be helped to answer the question, how many people voted? And I wanted an audit of the 33 logs to tell us that either they are valid or they are invalid. I've sat here from morning, that question is not being answered.
Thank you, Senator Okoit. We'll give the witness a chance to respond to those questions, and we will have, and to be very brief, and we'll have the final round of questions before we close with this witness. Proceed and take the shortest time possible. Let's proceed to answer to those queries.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll start with the mention of the persons who voted. The system itself doesn't keep record of something called a MAC address, which we have been discussing. So without this, we won't be able to know which device voted. Because, as I've said, the username and password are already shared. They are predetermined. Everyone knew. You will know somebody's ID and somebody's password. So anyone can use your ID beforehand to vote yes. That's what I'm saying. So doing an audit or an audit trail of that without the MAC address, we wouldn't know which device voted. In line, the IP address which has been mentioned, the IP address doesn't give the exact device because many devices share the same IP address, as I've been mentioning. If you are in one place and they're using the same network, the IP address will be the same. So this IP address, even if you can look at the IP which I mentioned, the 41.139.237, it is in multiple. There are 8 instances it voted. It means these people were in the same place, or they are using the same network. Yeah, but you wouldn't know if it was actually him who voted with his device. That is the biggest downfall of the system. It needed to have audit trails in terms of MAC addresses and know, is it you or is it your device that entered? All this would have been bashed out if simple mechanisms or basic things that we had recommended or have been recommended, like two-factor authentication, which when you log in sends that notification to your phone again for you to confirm. We wouldn't be having this case now, which is being mentioned.
Senator Alan Chesang, followed by Senator Tabitha Keroche and Senator Mariam. That's the last round of this question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think my first question was asked by my colleague, Senator Kisang, whereby the IT expert, my question was to ask the IT expert if he thinks this system was secure or not, and if so, maybe he should tell us if was he able to detect whether any unauthorized person who may have accessed the device, maybe to vote, apart from the MCS who were there. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Tabitha.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to ask the witness, the ICT expert, because I know the Kenyans are following this, and they're very key to ensure that there is transparency in whatever we are doing. There is a narrative, maybe the lack of better word, narrative that has been driven by my friend, Kanso Ongoya. Because I remember there is the speaker said that we needed independent ICT experts from ICT Kenya, and the governor to bring his own expert to ask these questions. But the narrative is as if you drafted this document and your own document. So I think we need to know whether you drafted the two documents, because people will be asking the objective. The objective is this report. How objective is this report? I think that's how people will be asking. I'm not an IT expert, but I'm just looking at that and asking if you drafted this report and yours, and then you are the governor's IT expert. I think that many questions you're being asked. Do you know Weldon? It's called Weldon. Many questions about Weldon. So I think that's what the Kenyans now are asking, I think, and me being one.
I think the question is stated, Senator Tabitha. Senator Mariam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to Mr. Expert on the issue of the audit report you have given out. It is very narrow. It is not detailed as such. But my question is, and we have heard from MCS, so many MCS that they are undermining the systems. As an expert, and you did an audit of the system, do you recommend that system to be used in anywhere, or in even the county executives and county assembly? Thank you.
Senator Crystal Asige, I will let you ask the question as the final senator who is asking this witness.
Thank you very much, Speaker.
You know, Speaker, we've spent over an hour listening to a painfully long examiner-in-chief cross and array, only to find out at the end by the witness that really he cannot prove nor disprove the question that is being put to this House. And so it feels like we shouldn't really lay our frustrations onto the witness, but perhaps we should ask the counsel and his team, why did you then bring this witness? Why did you put him through all that work if you cannot prove nor disprove your case? In any case, my question is to the witness, can you at least, if you can do nothing else to help us, can you at least tell us the IP addresses, where are the locations of these IP addresses? You've told us who it belongs to, Safaricom, which belong to 9 of those in your report, but where exactly, what is the location in the country which they are attached to, along with all the rest which are not the Safaricom one? Locations. Thank you.
So witness, you'll answer that, and then counsel who procured you will answer the final question from Senator Christopher. And then we'll call it a day on this witness.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, let me deal with the frustration first in terms of the IP addresses, if we can locate them. As I've said, we are able to locate these IP addresses, and I've mentioned the IP address and know who was given this IP address by Safaricom. That can be done. For some of the IP addresses on this list, maybe for the IT experts or the people with IT experience, there's something called the IP version 4 addresses. And the IP version 4 addresses they have been used, they have been overused, and they are no longer available. So there's something that ISP providers use, which is called a shared IP space. Because we have exhausted all IP version 4 addresses up to now. That's why you can see on page 30, there's an IP address starting with 105.161. That 105.161 can be used by multiple ISPs in terms of Safaricom, in terms of Liquid Telecom, in terms of 190, because we have exhausted all these IP4 addresses. So traceability also of these addresses is not as simple for these ones which are starting with 1 or 5, because they are in a shared IP address range. But the ones which are starting with 41, those ones we know, as we have checked, they are in Kericho County from the ping which I've just done now. Yes.
Let him finish his responses.
Then about the recommendation of the system, at the current, the way it is built currently, and the mechanisms or the protocols or the framework it has, I wouldn't recommend the system to be used by anyone until the upgrades or updates are aligned to best security best security practices. I wouldn't recommend at the moment to be used, because if the system, I wouldn't be here. If it was good, I wouldn't be here. Then an authorized person accessing the system, that is true. We can't, to be frank, the system doesn't allow you to know if it's an unauthorized person, because, as I said, the credentials were already shared and everyone knew the credentials. So me, I can access that system wherever, even I can be in Kericho and access, but we wouldn't know if somebody used my credentials to access my portal, because there's no security protocols in terms of to MFA, which would send a notification to your message so that you approve the access. Then also, the unauthorized personnel to access the system is very, 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 very key, because I believe from the report which was printed, it's in black and white. There is on page, maybe I can just take you on page, just 1 minute. On page 34, there is figure 1.2, written or exposed password. This is more of the technical requirement which we did on security, apart from the basic recommendations. This one, if maybe it was printed in colored, you would have seen that the passwords are exposed. Once somebody logs in, somebody who's using your computer can come back and see your passwords. So that is also a technical and cybersecurity risk for that. For the drafted, and I'm just trying to answer the question if the system was secure. I don't believe the system was secure, even from this expose on figure 1.2, which mentions the exposed passwords. And that is already a very major flaw on that system.
Thank you. Senator Sotsi, you have an issue of intervention. What is that?
Madam Speaker, I said earlier on that the benefit that we have in this house is that we have diverse profession in this house. I happen to be one of those profession in the ICT industry, and I cannot sit here listening to information that is misleading. I do not want to contradict him any further, but I would request this house take 1 or 2 minutes to do a simple task that is called an IP lookup, just to determine what is the physical location of this IP address 41 dot something that was used 9 times.
Let me guide
Madam
you.
Speaker, that will really help this
Can I
house.
guide you, Senator Osotsi? Ask the witness to do that because he's the only one who can respond to that question. Give a specific IP address. Let him look up and give you an answer himself, because the House is not giving evidence. It's the witness.
Speaker, I had asked
Give
this
him
question
a specific one.
I had asked this question earlier, that IP address.
I'm guiding you so that you get what you're looking for, because you cannot give evidence from the Senate.
Yes.
You have an intervention. Let's
I'm
finish
already
with
on
Senator
intervention,
Sotsi.
Madam Speaker.
Let's finish with
The
Senator
IP address 41.139.
Ines, can you take it up and look it up and give an answer right away to the House on where that IP address leads you?
41.139.237.129. We can do a 1 minute lookup, and I can guide this House further on that, how that can be done. So, I'm already on intervention.
Allow Senator Osotsi to finalize with his intervention.
So I would
Let's
like
have
the
some
IT.
order.
I like the
Senator
IT.
Eddie, wait.
I like the IT people to.
He's on a point of intervention. Senator Joyce, you wait. Just
I would like the
wait
IT
until he
people.
finalizes that exercise.
I would like the IT people to give us a screen, maybe to go to the internet, and then I will demonstrate that.
You can, the
I'm
witness.
on a point of order.
Senator Osotsi,
Why?
can you follow the guidance of the chair? I have guided you correctly. Give that IP address to the witness who can give evidence before this House. You cannot give the evidence yourself. We want to hear what his response is. You can always cross-check before you vote, so that it guides your vote.
Very well, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was saying that because the expert will need the assistance of the IT room. They have to display that on the screen.
No, we are able to counter-check when we recess to before the vote. Witness, can you respond to where that IP address takes you?
The IP address in question is the 41.139.237. This one is registered under Safaricom Limited, and its description is for Convergence Services, Coast Limited. And but the person, the owner is Safaricom Limited and Safaricom House. The person in question is John Muita.
The location? That's what he asked you.
From the public available information, from the public available information, there is no location for that. It mentions Kenya, Nairobi as the domain admin.
Eddie?
Madam Speaker, with a lot of respect, Madam Speaker, I think we are sitting here as a quasi-jury. We cannot now take even though we have many ICT experts here, even some of us know ICT, but I think that what we are attempting to do, I wanted to urge you, Madam Speaker, perhaps you can guide that a senator can do that in their submission, because they will have a submission time when they'll be making sense of this here. But as a matter of procedure, you ruled yesterday on that chair that we are going to ask ICT expert who would then give us another report. So even if the ICT expert is here to give us another, that's fine. Let's wait for the other ICT expert to give us. But if the jury wants to give us a direction of ICT, let them do that during the submission. Because we are going to rule on this and rule on substantive issues.
Senator Eddie, that is why I guided Senator Osotsi that evidence could not be adduced from the chamber, can only be adduced by the witness, and beyond that maybe the experts. Senator Ledama.
Madam Speaker, we've been sitting here for quite a number of hours. I'm not sure whether the defense or the county assembly understand what the amount of time they have. Could you kindly stop all this intervention, allow the county assembly and the county government or the governor to finish their case. And then when the time comes for us to submit, either to support or not or to oppose, we can then be able to try to argue our matter. I really
let me guide you, Senator Ledama. The chair is in charge. Right now, the time that is being used, it is the senators who are using their time. It is not the time for either the county assembly or either the county assembly or the governor's time. So it's the senators who have raised the issues, and the requests are coming from your end, not from their end. Now, witness, you are stood down. We are done with the question time. So you may resume your seat, or you could exit, but you are discharged from the stand.
Thank you.
Moving on to the ICT expert who was requested by Senate to bring a report. So, clerk, you can make sure the expert is called in. Sergeant at Arms, can you get the ICT? Or the question directed to Council Katwa Kigen.
Sorry, Madam Speaker, maybe I would address the issue of the next witness, because I don't know whether the county governor has then closed his case before we go to the independent expert of the Senate.
I believe they said that was their last witness, or have you changed that, Council?
May I confirm, Madam Speaker, that is the close of our case, the governor's case. Thank you.
So, and honorable senators, just to let you know, some of the issues you are raising, yourselves are raising those issues. So the time that is being spent is based on your requests.
Sorry, Madam Speaker, may I just take one
proceed.
last concern through you?
Proceed.
Madam Speaker, the person who has been brought here to answer these charges is the governor. Do I understand that we are not going to hear the governor's evidence and to test it?
Senator, Council Ongoye, I would hope you concentrate on how you manage your case, because the Council for Governor has said that is the close of their case. Once they declare that, I believe they are competent in their submission to that respect.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. So we can proceed on to the ICT expert. And honorable senators, to ease the question time, we should avoid repetitive questions, because if you repeat the questions, you'll get repeated answers. Repetitive questions, repetitive answers. Exactly.
Is the witness within the precincts of Parliament? Or have they, where is he or she? Okay. Clerk, can you please administer the oath to the ICT authority experts? Are both the experts going to take to the stand? Clerk assistant? Clerk assistant, are both experts going to take to the... They take into the floor to give evidence? Or one? One? Okay. Proceed and administer the oath.
I, Philip Irode, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
The Senate had directed the ICT authority experts to present a report to the Senate on the matters that are before the House, especially the question of the use of technology in the voting system in Kericho County. You are conversant with that request?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to proceed and present that report, but first of all, give your full name and the position you hold at the ICT authority and present the contents of the report. You have 10 minutes to do that.
Thank you. My name is Philip Irode. I'm a Deputy Director in charge of Information Systems Security at the ICT Authority. We received a request from the Senate through our PS, Ministry of State Department of ICT and Digital Economy, that they require the assistance of the ICT Authority to look into issues of the Kericho County, to look into the issue of the Kericho County Assembly voter system. Our CEO sent a response to the clerk, that was yesterday, appointing myself, Philip Irode, and my colleague, Joan Mokera, to come and address this particular request. We came in, had a brief, and given that we had not initially received a formal letter, we had to sort a letter to take it back to the office for purposes of the normal guidance as per government protocol through the accounting officer. We later came with the nominations of our two names and looked at the system. This was in the presence of both parties from the County Assembly, the Senate, and of course the Governor's Office. The system that we were looking at is a voting system, which is a web-based voting system. The system is hosted off-premise and out of country. And our initial URL search indicates that the system is published at IP address 178.162.234.23. And from the interactions, which is basically the initial assessment that you do from the interaction with the system owners, it's an in-house developed system where the local staff have developed the system. It is managed and administered by the head of ICT, who is the super administrator. We looked at the system based on the scope of the request that was articulated in the letter, and of course, being professionals within the industry, we were guided by processes which are basically information security frameworks, that guide our work. This includes ICT authorities' information security standard, as well as other global information security practice standards. We looked at it, and of course, we had 5 specific questions that we were meant to answer, which we have answered, and the details which are basically as articulated in the report that we have provided before this House. Question 1 was, did an electronic voting process take place using the system? And of course, we have looked at the system based on the logs which you were able to access in the presence of both parties, and we found out, yes, an electronic voting took place using the reference URL as presented in the report and with the logs that were provided. The second question, Madam Speaker, was, is the number of MCAs who voted on the impeachment of the governor verifiable? This was also based on the logs extracted from the voting module as well as the system events module. And the answer is yes. The number of MCAs who voted to the impeachment of the governor is verifiable. The third question was it possible for any MCA or any other person who had a link to vote on the motion on behalf of an MCA or another MCA? The answer that we provided is no. You cannot vote for any other person or an MCA with the link provided alone. You need to have both the username, which in this case was the IPPD, and the password, which was the ID number. Question number 4 was, how many MCAs voted in the affirmative on the motion to impeach the governor? The number of MCAs who voted on the motion was 33, as was extracted from the voting module logs. Question number 5, which is the last question under our scope of review, was, is there any evidence of multiple voting or other compromise of the voting system or any impropriety in the voting system or process? Our response to this question was, from the evidence provided and the access logs collected from the voting system logs and the admin and system events log module, there is no evidence of multiple voting, neither is there evidence of other compromise of the voting system and or any impropriety in the voting system and the process. Madam Speaker, that were our findings. Thank you.
As an expert witness, you have been oathed to give evidence and present that report. So you will be subjected to some cross-examination on the report, both by the county assembly and by the governor's team. And then we'll proceed on to have questions and clarifications from the senators. So I will now allow the county assembly team and then the governor's team. Each will have 10 minutes maximum.
Sir, I have very few questions for you. This exercise was conducted within the precincts of this parliament. True or not true?
It's true.
Were you notified of the people who are present at the time of undertaking this exercise?
Yes, we were.
You did this exercise in the presence of the people representing the governor's team, the people representing the county assembly, and the administrative staff of the Senate. Is that the correct representation?
Yes, it is.
I have 3 substantive concerns regarding the report, then I sit down. Is there any single log that you came across, any login credential that you encountered from the logs that voted more than once?
Your question, the answer to the question is no.
Is there any credential that logged in and voted after the 15th of August, 2025?
No.
Let me confirm that. No, there is an officer of court, an advocate, who told this Senate that he actually logged into this system and managed to vote after the 21st. Did you come across that log in the system?
No, we didn't come across such a log in the system because the voting had already been closed.
Did you see the logs used by the admin of the system to log and undertake any activities in the system?
Yes, the logs are clearly marked when an admin logs in and when a specific user created into the system logs in.
Did the admin logs themselves cast any vote?
No.
That is all for this witness.
Proceed. Madam Speaker and the honorable senators, I'll share the 10 minutes with the Senior Counsel Katwa and Wanyama. I'll only ask 2 questions. Mr. Philip, from the logs that you extracted, did you extract any source IP addresses?
Yeah, we have IP addresses within our logs.
Source IP addresses, the MAC addresses. Did you get any MAC addresses from the system?
Which one are you referring to? You've mentioned MAC address and IP address. Which
source IP addresses, which is the same as MAC addresses.
Your Honor, those are 2 different addresses.
So you can differentiate the 2, kindly?
Yes. So MAC address is ideally, in a layman's language, like your fingerprint. It is absolutely unique.
Unique. Did you get those unique identifiers from the system?
Allow me to answer the question.
No, I'm asking you a question. Did you get those unique identifiers from the system?
The IP addresses,
Counsel,
yes.
Allow him to answer.
Okay. I need specific answer, yes or no, on the issue of source IP address. Did you
Counsel, let him answer so
Okay.
that you can benefit from that answer.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have IP addresses within our log systems.
The source IP address, did you get them?
Yes.
Did you identify the IP addresses to a certain gadget?
Your Honor, based on system configuration, logs are part of system development, and ideally, most system development prescribe the IP addresses, because ideally with an IP addresses, you have the ability to geolocate where that particular device is.
Now,
a MAC address will not give you a geolocation.
Thank you for your answer. So, from your answer, it indicates that you could not tell which location this IP address was from.
It's the opposite. From our answer, we could be able to say where the IP address is from, because
Have you indicated that in your report?
Yes.
That it came from where?
We have indicated the IP addresses of the various voters who logged into the system.
Can you identify those IP addresses to a certain gadget, say that this IP address, 41 something, was for Honorable, let's say Anita? Can you say that?
Your Honor, that is not possible with the system configuration as it is.
So from the system that you are working on, you cannot tell who voted for who?
You can tell based on the user ID, which is a unique user ID, and the IP address of the user.
This is not a personal question. You'll remember that we We worked together yesterday as you worked on this report, and this is not personal. You became my friend yesterday, and you will confirm to this Senate that we began working on this report at 4:30, you disappeared until 4:30. Is that true? So from the committee, you will confirm that you left the committee room at 2:30 and came back at 4:30. Is that true?
Your Honor, that could not be true, and as I have indicated, we were called here urgently. We came without formal release letters. When we came, we were, invited into the chamber. We were briefed on what the assignment entailed.
No, I'm talking about when we start. We sat.
Counsel, allow the witness to answer, please. You asked a question, he's responding to that question. Proceed, witness.
Thank you. Yeah, so after we were briefed by the clerk's office, as protocol dictates, we have to seek concurrence from our counting officer. I explained to the clerk's office that we need to get an authority to embark on an exercise. This is when I was ushered into the clerk's office. A letter was done while I waited, and I walked with that letter to our CEO's office, advising him that this is the sort of engagement that we have been called to conduct, and I therefore need to be officially released.
Did you require 2 hours?
Well, it wasn't 2 hours, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, expert witness, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions in a few minutes. Just to follow up on a question which my colleague asked you. Who called you yesterday and you left the Senate-sanctioned audit for more than 2 hours? An activity that was time-bound. Who called you to go to that event?
My CEO, Your Honor.
Your CEO?
Yes.
Thank you. What did the CEO tell you when he called you to leave a Senate-sanctioned event?
Well, as I have explained, it is a practice that as a public officer who you have to get approval or express permission.
Did you require approval when the Speaker has already issued a directive and you are in the presence of the House, the House of Senate? You leave the Senate to go. Did you require approval to leave the Senate to go back to your CEO?
I think I was given a letter requesting us for the services which I had to deliver to our office for approval and clearance.
Did you become hostile to the team by the governor, the governor's team, when you came back? Did you become hostile to the team by the governor when you came back?
I'm not a hostile person.
You are not a hostile person?
No.
You asked a specific question yesterday, which he has asked you, and you need to tell this Senate. This question is in the mouth and minds of all senators today. MCS accessed this system using a gadget. Is that correct?
I wouldn't know how.
From your observation, MCS accessed this system using a gadget, whether it's a phone or a laptop or a computer. Is that correct?
Ideally, based on the nature of the system, yes, it's a web-based system.
Yes. And when you access the system, then you need to leave a fingerprint in that system so that anyone else can tell that indeed you left, you are the one who voted. And that is the primary question before this Senate. So the question is, did you find in the system what is known as the MAC addresses for the computers, mobile phones, laptops, etc., which were used to access this system? Did you find?
So allow me to answer that question in a more layman's language for the benefit of the Senate. What happens when you are accessing a system? There is the public-facing IP, and there is the internal IP. I'll give you an example. If we have all access to our Wi-Fi in this building, that
Yes.
Wi-Fi will have one external facing IP.
Yes.
That IP is the one that channels our traffic to the specific requests that we make onto the internet. By the nature of this system, it has been set up such that it can be able to pick the IP as the unique resource locator for the service. And that is part of the logs that we've been able to collect.
Because of my time, and I appreciate, the IP addresses that you have given to this house are already in the house. The senators have looked at these IP addresses, and some are they have been recorded 9 times. They have interrogated that issue. What they are asking now, at this level, is that MAC address. They want to know, did this MCA vote? Did this MCA A, B, C, D vote? And which gadget did he use? That is the primary question. So does your report contain MAC address, the logs for the MAC addresses? That is the question before the House.
It's a right question.
It is a yes or no answer. Is it there so that I can show the senators that our case has collapsed because the MAC addresses are now in your report, the unique identifiers for the telephone numbers of these MCS. It's now available, produced by the expert, and our case has collapsed. Show me in your report where these MAC addresses are.
I have clearly responded to that question, and the answer is
the answer is shown me in your report. Yes or no answer.
Counsel, let him answer. Counsel, allow the witness to answer. Witness, do you have the IP addresses in your report?
I have IP addresses in my report, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the question is the MAC addresses. The IP address, Madam Speaker, I request for 2 more minutes. I'm now on a delicate issue. The MAC addresses.
Granted the 2 minutes. Respond to the question of the MAC addresses.
MAC addresses are not part of external facing details that are captured within this particular system. The system captures IP addresses. IP addresses can still be linked to a MAC address.
Okay.
Allow me to finish,
okay,
kindly.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. You have your own safe in your house, which is located in a certain location. We cannot expose your safe to the outside world, but we will expose your gate number to the world. Ideally, a MAC address is unique to that house, and the house number is public information.
That begs 2 questions, Mr. Expert Witness, Madam Speaker. I wind up. Two important questions. These MAC addresses, what kind of audit did you do? Did you do a basic compliance audit? Did you do a network security audit? Or did you do a device compliance audit? Because each one has different levels. And maybe as you answer that question, there's a senator who asked here, did you penetrate this system into the NIT so that you extract the required information to complete this report?
So, Your Honor, you cannot be able to do an entire audit within a day. Our letter was very clear. We target our exercise in answering the 5 questions, and we targeted our efforts towards what activities will give us the response or the answers to the clerk's questions as directed to our CEO.
Did you do a search on all these IP addresses to tell the senators that these IP addresses are not located in Nyahururu, Bomet, Nairobi, or Embu? Did you do a search address in your audit?
Your Honor, we did what the question, the letter requested us to do, which was to conduct an assessment that will respond to the questions that had been answered.
Last question, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, last question. The senators in this House, there's a live question which they want an answer from you. The evidence was given that a computer was used at the county assembly to vote for 3 MCS.
3 MCS, a computer was used. The simple question is, did you go to Kericho County, or was this computer given to you for you to ascertain the IP address or MAC address in that computer to give to these honorable senators to clear any doubt in their mind on the verifiability, authenticity, and security of this system? That is my last question.
Yeah, so based on the audit logs that we collected, as we have responded, the system has adequate logs providing verifiability, which is ideally the number of...
Did you visit Kericho? Were you given the computer? It's a simple issue.
So the system is a web-based system.
Yes.
For a web-based system, you do not need to physically visit a location. It's available on the URL, unique resource locator, as we have provided.
So what is the
report.
IP address for this laptop which was given in, which the MCS said they used? Can you tell the senators with a substantial measure of assurance, no doubt at all, that I, as the expert, this is the IP address of this computer, this is the MAC address of this computer, so that we clear doubt? Thank you.
I don't think that was part of my request for this
Thank you,
letter.
Madam Speaker. I'm sorry, my time is up.
The question is now actually answered. As told you. Senator Sifuna.
No, Speaker. I'm a bit confused by the line of questioning that has been taken by counsel for the governor, because your directive was that all these parties be present during that exercise. Now, when I look at the report, there's a part for people who are present to indicate they were present. Mr. Evanson Kirui, counsel for governor, did not sign. The question to you, witness, was he there? This gentleman called Weldon Kipiegon Lagat, was he there? And then, to the counsel for the governor, these things you are asking, did you ask him to do it there, when you are there? And what did he do? And then why would you refuse to sign that you are present? Those are the questions I want to address.
Senator Sifuna, before those questions are tackled, you could resume your seat. Let's take a direction on how the senators will now engage with that report and that witness. Then those questions will be tackled in that session. Because that's not an intervention on procedure. It's actual contents and questions to the witness. So, honorable senators, we have about 15 senators who would like to ask questions, and we must limit the time within which this gets done. So we'll have to agree that every senator should either ask just one question, if we have to cover all, and if we ask 2 questions, then we'll have less of senators requesting for that intervention. So we do 1 question per senator. Is that agreeable? We need a consensus. Okay. So 1 question. So you have asked yours already, so I'm not giving you another chance. He will respond. I'm sure he's already gotten the gist of the questions. Senator Chute Mohammed. You take about 5 questions, and then you respond, and we go to the next segment of questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A witness from the MCA.
Your time is 1 minute, and the clerk will be strict with your time.
10 seconds is gone. Sorry? My question goes to the expert. There was an MCA who gave an evidence that 9 persons, or MCAs, voted from a particular station. That station is, the number is 41-139-237-129. Did you, in your report, do we have that report that shows that 9 MCAs voted from 1 logging station? Thank you.
Senator Sotsi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have to declare that the witness is my student in my other life, and he's competent enough. But I just want to ask one question. Philip, you look at me in the eye. Are you the one who did this report? I just want that answer, yes or no. Because from my teaching, this report would be done, have been done better than this, Madam Speaker.
Senator Danson Munkatan, is he there? No. Senator Eddie Okech.
I know this question might have come from the council side, but I'm going to ask it for my own consumption. Did everybody vote on the day of the voting or otherwise, in your best knowledge? And if that happened, then was there people who abstained in the system or people who voted otherwise no? Or everybody who voted yes in the system that you audited?
Senator John Nyoto, that's the last one, then we have answers.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The matter before us and why the ICT expert had to come is because the governor's side has argued that there are some MCAs who voted for others. And so it's very important, Madam Speaker, for the ICT expert to tell us this MAC address is very important, because ID address, as he has explained to us, was the ID number. And if somebody wants, for example, to know my ID number here, they will know it, so they can vote for me. If the only leeway to get into the system is my ID number, it is known, it's in the office. So this MAC address was going to be very important. And Madam Speaker, the ICT expert should tell us about the address where the gadgets that voted were.
Time up. Witness, please respond to those questions first before we take the next segment of questions.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll go by the order in which they were presented. The first question was if the opposing side had their team members present. That is in affirmative. Yes, they were present. The second question was if there's an MCA who alleges that 9 persons voted for a particular, 9 persons voted, repetitively using IP 41 something.
You had more questions from Senator Sifuna. They were both 3.
Well, I captured the aspect of the team's availability. Yes, they were available, and they opted not to sign the report. And when we were extracting the logs, we even had concurrence on this report at some point until they decided not to sign it. I hope that answers your question, Mheshimiwa. Number 2 was if the specific IP that appears 9 times indicates that one person voted 9 times. Ideally, as I've indicated, Madam Speaker, this is a gateway, and I think from my basic understanding, most of these county governments have Wi-Fi, and this could be the IP address that have been assigned to the Wi-Fi gateway, and therefore, if at all you are connected to the Wi-Fi, your device is actually assigned that specific IP as a public-facing IP, and therefore, the system logs pick that part of the logs. To my experience that we were given, this is the best we could do in responding to the specific questions that we The other question is, did everybody vote on the day or otherwise? The response to that is yes. We have the specific user IDs. We have the specific timestamps which are within the specific date that the voting was being done. And we have logs of votes who did not vote as part of the logs that we presented. The other question is, were other persons voting for any other person? That question has been answered in our report as question number 3, whereby it was being asked, was it possible for any MCA or any other person who had a link to vote on the motion on behalf of an MCA or another person? Ideally, if you have the link alone, you cannot vote, but you need to have the username, which is the IPPD, and of course, a password which is unique to an individual. Thank you.
Senator Wambua Enoch.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to ask a question where the expert has ended. When you asked by the lawyer whether any system admin would have voted in the system, you said a clear no. But you're saying that if you have the username and the password, you could vote for anyone from any location. So how would you have known that the admins did not vote? Because this username and the password are not computer generated. They have been assigned physically by the admin to the MCS. How would you know that they have not voted?
Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think that is the question I had because I wanted to know if somebody has the username and the password, and now we have heard from one of the MCAs by the name Berir that was unable to, doesn't have any internet in his phone, and someone else is working on another phone, possibly will have forwarded the password and the username. So could someone else be able to log in or even vote using another phone? And that is the question I really wanted to know.
Senator Aaron Cheriot, Majority Leader, did you request?
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I beg your indulgence that you allow me maybe slightly more than a minute. This is the only chance that the people whose county is contesting this matter have the chance to speak in this House. Madam Speaker, I have a question to this expert. My first question is, did the expert really appreciate the assignment that is before them? If they did, I want them, because this is in the interest of establishing the truth, Mr. Speaker, to account for the report that he has brought to this House, particularly Annex 3, page 17 of your report. This case, by the way, boils down to 3 votes when all is said and done. Forget about all these issues about 9 and whatever, because
Majority Leader, you know our standing orders are very clear. Okay, 2 more minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I was explaining, and this is for even to assist the House, that eventually this case boils down to 3 votes and how they can be accounted for. Because if you read the affidavits of the County Assembly and those of the governor's team, there is a contestation only on 4 votes. The rest are already accounted for. It is only that in one of the votes, Mr. Speaker, that witness has sworn an affidavit for both camps. Therefore, we can choose to disregard. But I was pointing the expert to his report on page 17, Annex 3, to explain to this House whether he is certain and absolutely certain that the member written there as for Cheplanget ward, for Kapkatet, and Kapkugerwet ward, they are the fifth from bottom, third, and second last votes that came in. Whether he can give with certainty that from what he saw out of his audit, that indeed these messages emanated from the phone registered phones of these members. If that is ascertained, Mr. Speaker, I know how to do the rest of my work.
Senator Onyonka.
Thank you. I wanted to take you back to the question that Wambua had asked. And we go back to page 5, and that is question number 3. You say, the question you were asked, was it possible for any MCA or any other person who had a link to vote on the motion on behalf of an MCA or any other MCA? Then you say no, and then you qualify it by saying you need to have both the username, that is the IPPD, and the password ID number. What you may not know is that when presentations were being done yesterday, we were informed that these names and numbers were freely given to everybody in the assembly. In other words, the private ID numbers and whatever that was being provided for.
Senator Wakoli.
Honorable Speaker, my questions are as follows.
Only one question, Honorable Senator.
Did you ascertain that the link that the MCS received on their phones were the same phones that were used to vote, and you can justify the process? Thank you.
Senator Kavindu.
Chair, Speaker, thank you. My question is, if there was clarity about the MCAs who are claiming that their identity was used for voting and they did not vote. And yesterday I also asked a question. There was a Peter who tried to log several times and it failed. And I asked whether he managed to vote at long last. And this question was not answered. So you, as a specialist of IT, did you manage to trace that Peter if he ever voted? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Thangwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question is very simple. We were told yesterday, and I tried to ask the same question, that 9 members voted from the same computer. Can you, Mr. Speaker, request that we have the 9 members try to vote as we see? Then we see how long it's going to take. From there, Mr. Speaker, we'll be able to know how much time that 9 members can use one computer with different IDs, different IPPDs, and they are going to vote, Mr. Speaker. So if you can direct that it's being, it can be demonstrated to us how 9 members can vote from one computer, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mogene.
Yes, when a witness, there is a question that is troubling us, and we want to be sure from your evidence this evening, if somebody has a link and he has a user name and a password
can that person vote for another person? You got me? You have got the link, you have the username, and you have the password. Can you vote for another person using any gadget? Okay, proceed to respond to those, and then I'll have another set for you. Proceed.
Yeah, so the first question was asking whether, as admin, you could vote for an MCA. The answer to that is no. If you have logged in as admin, you need to log into the system as a registered user who needs to cast their vote, because from the logs, each of the MCAs who voted had a unique number that enabled them to cast a vote. The second question is if any other person can vote for the MCA with the username and password. As I have clearly indicated, that is possible only if you have the MCA's IPPD and the password, which is the ID number. And the same answers the last question that has been cast by the senator who just took his seat. There was the issue of certainty based on page 17. And ideally, what we are trying to do here is to provide a correlation. The system has two modules. There is the system events module, the system security events module, and there is the vote activity, the voters module. So to address issues of source IP, as had been earlier questioned by the other council, we managed to actually map each of the vote cast with the IP, because this was an aspect of contestation that the logs that we have do not have IP addresses. But from the annex that we have provided here, from the voting module and the system events, you can be able to correlate this based on the unique user ID and the timestamp under which that particular activity did happen. And this is basically to ascertain that MCA so-and-so cast his vote at this particular IP address and this particular timestamp. The other question was, if I have an ID, and it was actually an issue of clarity where I was being told that it is common knowledge that within the county, ID and passwords are already circulated. My response to that is not within my knowledge, because it's unique to the county, and I wouldn't have really known, because it is a culture issue within the county if that is their practice. I was also asked to ascertain the link and the voting process. As a practitioner within this field, we are guided by principles. And just to make sure that we were doing a good job to this assembly, we made sure that there is a checklist that assists the county to conform to standard global practices and standards, as I had indicated within my opening remarks, which is the information security standard, as well as the ISO standards,
and any other data protection, as well as Computer Misuse and Protection Act. So we are guided, and we provided that checklist to the head of ICT for the county, who responded in affirmative, and we have been able to receive some of those documentations to validate our report. So the process of whether to ascertain that the URL that was provided and the voting process, that is a documentation issue which we have been able to be guided by the documentation that was provided. The other question was, we identify the number of users, the identity of users who are able to vote for each other. As I have said, you can only vote for each other if you have that particular MCA's IPPD number and the password. But with the link alone, you cannot be able to do that. The issue of 9 people voting, I think the senator was asking whether that can be a proof of concept within the House. It is upon the Speaker to decide. Then the last question was, with the link and password and username, can you vote? Yes, that is the answer. You can vote if you have both 3 parameters together.
Thank you.
The question by Senator Richard Onyonka.
I responded, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I think you understood where I was. You were not aware that we had been informed in the evening, in the morning yesterday, that all the MCAs and the other members were actually given the numbers of their colleagues in terms of their IDs and their IP numbers. So if that is the case, is it true, or do you then think it is possible that somebody could have voted for somebody else?
Mr. Speaker, I think with that information where you have user's ID and user's password, it is possible for you to vote on behalf of another person.
Senator Chiranke.
Mr. Witness, I've looked at Annex number 3, page 17, and of course your response. So in this, you can confirm that the 33 MCAs voted in the affirmative of the motion.
Is it true? And was the system compromised as per your understanding in your expertise? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boy. Senator Isa. Yeah, then log out, Honorable Senator, please. Yes, Senator Fak, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. You said that given the fact that the login credentials were shared amongst all the members of the Assembly, and that somebody could have voted, for instance, I could have voted for Mr. Senator Issa Boy, and then was it possible for me to vote for Senator Boy, for instance, and also vote for myself, given that I have the credentials of both senators? Thank you.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to refer the expert to page 5, Roman 5. There's a statement there where he says, towards the end of Roman 5, that there is no evidence of multiple voting, neither is there evidence of other compromise of the voting system and or any impropriety in the voting system and process. That statement, in view of even the questions you've had now, that, and then the information we now got that there were static IP address inside the chamber, there was evidence of somebody saying that he was going to vote for somebody else. Don't you think this statement was a bit too much? Was it a bit too wide? That it was, because this statement is saying this system is totally fine.
Senator Professor Tomojanda.
Mr. Witness, to the point, at page 14 of that 22, you confirmed that there were no abstentions, 33 votes to the affirmative. Yet, if you look at the logins running from page 17 to the end, there are many failed logins. Would you verify whether the logins were by the MCAs who were voting? Number two, was it a concern to you that all the votes were yes and there was no person voting in the negative? But lastly, is this an agreed report? Because I can see the governor's team did not sign, only the assembly team signed. All the others who signed are from Senate. Is this a report? And that's it. Do you have superior qualifications to these other people?
Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Witness, is it your evidence that indeed, and I want to refer you to page 16 of your document, and specifically bullet 3, voting process integrity. Is it your evidence that despite the fact that we've been informed that credentials of logging were shared, that then the integrity and privacy of the voting was guaranteed? Then, in bullet number 5 or 6, you said user training and awareness. Evidence provided in this, testimony provided in this house states that there was no training. Is it then your testimony that that training was done? Then the last question was, did you get to see the source code and see whether there was a limitation of the number of people who could vote in a certain string? Was the system in the source code, if you inspected it, geo-fenced, or was it accessible from any part globally? Then,
Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you very much, Speaker. To the witness, you have clarified that there were about 9 IP addresses that were identical. Can you also verify if there were any others that were identical of the 33 votes casted? And can you verify from that list of 33 votes where each IP address is attached in terms of location?
Senator Kinyua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Philip, because we are here in the morning and we have heard that there were challenges with this system, with the MCAs, and I want to quote Honorable Trump, who was here in the morning. And he did mention that they were being assisted, some of them were being assisted. In the course of assisting, was it possible that this person who was assisting would have voted for this member without his knowledge, that now that this person does not know this system? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator A.D. Okech. Then log out, Honorable Senator. Okay. Senator Mofire.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is to the experts, and I want to know, as an IT expert, based on your audit, do you have confidence in the credibility and the accuracy of the results generated by the voting system? So at the same time, what could be the reason why we have 9 similar IP addresses and the others are different, assuming that they were all using one gateway, one Wi-Fi? Thank you.
Senator Alan Chesang. Senator, proceed, Honorable Senator.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question to the IT expert. Now that on page 5 of your report, you had mentioned that it is not possible, Roman 3, that is a question of Roman 3, you had mentioned that it was not possible for any member of the county assembly to vote for another member. But again, now you've said that it is possible if they have their IPPD address and their ID number. So does that mean that your report, you're not sure of the report that you made? That is number one. And also, does that mean that you can also not assure us that this system is secure? That is number one. And also, maybe you cannot also confirm that you cannot detect.
Senator Paris Tobiko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Witness, being the expert that you are, if you are the one putting up this system, setting up the system, are there other safeguards you would have put in place to secure the system and make it foolproof? If you have other suggestions, if you would have done it differently. Thank you.
Senator Shakil Abdallah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question is, since it has been
established that it's possible for others to vote for others. Is it possible to establish the gadgets which were used? Because all the phones are registered under certain names. If I use my phone to vote for Fatma, it will show it is my phone which was used. Is there a way to know that it was my phone used to vote for somebody else? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Okenyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also wish to know on how long the system was open to allow members to vote. And finally, how do we know if the 9 people who are voting was one person who was voting 9 times? Thank you.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to refer back the witness to the report. And I note that specifically on number 9, that the following persons were in attendance: Mr. Philip Irode, Mr. Joan Mukeire, the Office of the Governor, there was a council, and then there was an ICT advisor from the Mr. Weldon Langat, including the County Assembly, Alfred Korir Kimutai, Mr. Hilary Kiplangat, and then you had the Senate Secretariat, Mr. Zakayo Mogere, Innocent Baya, and Miss Marianne Karanja. The question that I want to ask you is very simple. This report, although you are the witness standing there to be able to submit and to present the report, were you the only person who came up with this report, or this report was a joint exercise by all those people who, by the resolution of this House, ended up carrying out this exercise? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ledama, just look at the report. Huh? The owners of the report are 2, and they signed it in the presence of others. If you look at page 5 of 2022. Nevertheless, the witness will respond to your question. Nevertheless, the witness will respond to your question. Senator Hezana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to inquire from the witness on why there is an IP address appearing to have voted thrice, contrary to the IP address that they had indicated was supposed to be the one to vote. And I take note of that because it has voted yes thrice. Thank you. And I'm talking about the IP address 154.159.237.85. Thank you.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my question is on the last terms of reference for Philip. You were told, is there any evidence of multiple voting or compromise? I don't know, did you make use of these particular terms of reference to check if the system can be penetrated by hackers from outside? I don't know if you did, you attempted to penetrate the system so that for our comfort, we know the system is secure.
Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Witness, as an IT expert, whichever way this matter goes, would you recommend the Kericho County Assembly to continue using this system or any other assembly for that matter? Thank you.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, you said that you received a letter from Senate in order for your authority to be able to undertake this process. This letter was addressed to who specifically? Because just need to understand the 2 hours that the council talked about, then who was really addressed, the letter was addressed to who. Then secondly, this report that you've tabled, did it need any consensus for it to be valid? Number 3, do you think that this system for Kericho County is a valid system that can continue to be used? It's a system from your own expertise that you would recommend that they continue using. Lastly, is that the MCAs that was...
Senator Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika. Ningetaka mkurugenzi atuelezee kulingana na MCA, kuna pahali wanasema walitumia dakika 5 wakaongezea dakika 2 ikakuja na singine ikakuja dakika 11. Sisi hapa Senate wakati speaker anataka tofauti anatuambia toa kandi na uingishe na uweke namba uweze kufuti, na kama imemaliza dakika kidogo kama haujaweza kuweka la ama ndio unakuta inaenda inapotea. Hii gadget ya Kericho kwani iko namna gani? Kwani iko tofauti na gadget zile zingine kama haijakuwa tempered nayo?
Senator Kibwana Hamida.
I can't see. Let me wear my glasses. Let me get my glasses.
Are you reading somewhere?
No, I wanted to.
Don't speak. We need your mouth, not your eyes.
I was looking at the numbers. I was looking at the numbers in the report. Let me wear my glasses. Glasses zangu zimeenda.
Okay, I'm told everyone on my dashboard has already got an opportunity to speak. So we will allow the witness to respond. Witness, I've given you the go-ahead to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try and answer them in the order that they came through. I have quite a number of them. The first one was clarification if at all 33 MCAs did vote. And our response to that question, Your Honor, is yes, it's an affirmative.
Power his microphone and put it closer to his mouth, please.
The first question was if at all we can be able to clarify that at all the 33 MCAs were able to fit in the system. And of course, our response to that based on the finding is yes, 33 MCAs did vote. We've provided evidence for that as per the logs provided within the system. The other question was, and this question has been repeated severally, whether if you have the link and you have the password and you have the username, you can be able to vote. And we have confirmed, yes, you can be able to vote for one another. However, the link was being sent to an individual user MCA. Therefore, once you receive your link, you are able to vote if you only have your username and your password. The other question was, if the system is okay based on the question 5. If we go to question 5, we were asked, the question as was directed to us as ICT authority to respond was, is there any evidence of multiple or compromise of the voting system and or any impropriety in the voting system or process? And I will want us to underline the word evidence. Our field is based on evidence. I have to be able to provide evidence. And the evidence that I collected is based on the logs that the system has no evidence of multiple voting, it has no evidence of compromise or any other impropriety of the voting system. And that's what we responded to, based on evidence. The other question was, from the failed logins. I think there was a senator who asked about failed logins. From the logins, you can actually tell that the system is secure because if you do not have your username and password, it does not let you get through. You need to have your appropriate username and password for you to be able to log in. And from the extracted logs that we have, we had actually even been able to see a number of attempted multiple logins yesterday, which never went through. The other question was, it was on shared credentials. And as I've said, from a practitioner's perspective, we are all taught that your username and password is a personal information that you should not be able to, share. And as senators, we are aware of the Data Protection Act, which specifically guides that username and password, or perhaps an ID, is personal identifiable information, and therefore data that is personal. And therefore, if at all it was a practice within the county to share username and passwords, I think that is a wrong practice. However, from the evidence, and I still insist from the evidence that we collected, we were not able to ascertain that level of practice. There is a question on training, source code, and I respond to this by saying that within the time limit provided, we were here at 2, we were meant to provide a report at 6, and I have said we zeroed our response towards answering the 5 questions that were posed to the ICT Authority CEO, which meant that we look into the system, the exposed interface of the system, the voters module, the hosting architecture of the system, to be able to gather enough evidence to respond to those questions. The issue of geofencing, that is an architectural issue that perhaps require additional time for you to be able to ascertain whether the code has included aspects of geofencing. There's also a repeated issue about the 9 IP addresses, and as I have earlier responded to, is that these IP addresses are ideally a gateway for the county assemblies local LAN, that is local area network, or Wi-Fi, if that is what the MCAs use as an internet gateway. There was an issue about Mr. Trump, the challenges associated with voting. As a good practice, ideally, as I had said, from a practical ITGC, which is Information Technology General Controls, users are meant to be trained, and we received an affirmative Excel sheet that indicated that this had been done at the county. The other question was, we report about the system IP address. I think we have